Hey everyone, welcome to Love with Francesca, where we deep dive into relationships, self-love, mental health, and the empowering journey to authentic connection and healing. Today, I have with me actually one of my coaches and mentors, Laura Livermore. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Francesca. I'm so excited.
So I'll just give a little backstory. Laura came into my life when I was in a group coaching program learning to build this business when I realized I had very poor money mindset. And I was like, I think I need help with this. And then her digital course just kind of was like presented to me. And I was like, this is exactly what I need. And I did it and I had incredible results. So I'm just going to throw that plug in there for you because as
Thank
someone
you.
who did it, I'm like, it was so good. I highly recommend it. You do kind of have to like surrender and just like believe in the process and trust that it will work, but it was
Yeah.
really incredible. So thank you for creating that and sharing it with us.
Yeah, you had some incredible results too. So I'm
Yes, I
grateful
did.
for
I
you.
did. So just so that everyone knows kind of who you are and why I asked you to be on this podcast. Laura's a mindset and manifestation coach, yoga teacher, wellness retreat leader, and host of the Mind Body Manifest podcast, which you actually launched recently. So super
Yeah.
exciting. She
Yes. Yeah.
empowers ambitious women, leaders, and entrepreneurs to get out of their head and get into their body, tap into their highest potential, and manifest their dream life without burning out. She guides her clients through subconscious reprogramming and nervous system regulation, tools like hypnotherapy, EFT tapping, meditation, and breath work to help her clients create transformational change from the inside out. I second that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again. Okay, so why don't we get started? Can you tell me a little bit about, I know you didn't start off as a mindset and manifestation coach. So what brought you into this
Yeah.
space? What inspired you to become an expert at this and help other people with it?
Yeah, this is a great question because, yeah, I definitely did not start out as a coach. I was actually in the corporate world. So I did kind of the stereotypical, at least for my generation, it was like the stereotypical you go to college, you get a college degree, you work in corporate, and like the dream is like that's how you are successful. Like when I was growing up, like TikTok and Instagram, none of that like really existed. And so this world of online businesses and becoming an entrepreneur just wasn't even in my realm. So I had no idea that even existed until later, like until in my 20s. And so I actually started out as an interior designer. That's my degree and background is interior design, which I still really love. And I'm so grateful for my past and the journey of that to get me to where I am because it's funny how things always align and they don't seem like it at first, but
Hmm.
then you look back and you're like, oh, that's why I got that job because it like my previous job helped me really set myself up for being an entrepreneur. And I didn't realize that at the time, but I worked for a company that was commission based only. Like you sell draperies and window coverings. We did in-home design consultations and that it taught me to hustle, which good and bad things there. But it taught me how to like build my own business in a way. And so a lot of the skills I learned from that were transferable. But just to kind of fast forward through it, I reached a point in my late 20s. I remember I was about to turn 30, and it felt like everyone around me was thriving. Like all my friends were getting married, having babies, thriving in their careers. And I was at a point where I was starting to feel unfulfilled. Like I was really good at my job, I was making great money, but something was missing. I felt like I was just kind of getting bored with it. And I felt like I was meant for something more. I was going through a breakup. I had just moved to LA and I knew no one. And my parents had recently got divorced, and there was a lot of trauma around that, like a lot of emotional turmoil that came up. And I just was like unhappy, and it looked like I had it all together on paper, but I just felt like everything was falling apart. And what I realized is that I was going through my Saturn return, which in astrology is like right around that age, and your big life changes are typically happening. And it's either you're like reaching a big milestone or things are falling apart in order to push you towards what you're meant to be going towards. And that was what happened for me. Like everything fell apart. But in that breakdown, like in my lowest moment, it gave me space to start to get clear on what I really wanted, what Laura really wanted out of her life. And so I turned that year into the year of Laura. And that was like the turning point for me. I started taking yoga classes and trying different things to meet new people. And it was yoga that became the catalyst for me. Um, there was something in that changed a lot within me. And so I got this download laying in Shavasana one day that was like, you're going to do a yoga teacher training. Like you have to do a yoga teacher training. And I didn't really know why. I thought maybe I would just get really good at yoga. I didn't really see like a career path in it, but I knew it was something I needed to do. And I had no idea that I could actually turn that into a career. And it was like the path started to reveal itself. So in the yoga teacher training, I realized it was really more about personal development. And it kind of just sparked from there. I really started learning about manifestation and the subconscious mind. And then I got certified in all of these things to help me heal like my own traumas and insecurities. And my life just started to change drastically. Like I met some of my best friends, found my husband. I started manifesting really cool apartments. Just like everything turned around so quickly. And I knew I had to help other people do that too. Like I felt like there was probably a lot of other women that were going through similar things. And that is my purpose. That is why I decided to become a coach. And yeah, ever since then, I just continue to work on myself, hone my skills, like invest in myself, and yeah, be that guide to hopefully help more and more people. So
I
that's
love
really
it.
what got me to where I am.
I
And
love it.
I just love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all that. It's always beautiful to hear. I love hearing like the trend where someone was at and then the kind of the transformation that they went through. And it sounds like for you, it was a lot of like just kind of letting things fall apart a little bit so that you could have the space for that clarity. I relate to that a lot. When you
Yeah.
talked about the Saturn return, I don't follow astrology enough. I wish I did a little bit more, but that was super validating because I'm 29 now, and in the last
Mhm.
2 years, I feel like my life has just done like a full like 180, like internally and
Yeah.
externally. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe that's why it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. You
But
should look it up because you're right at
yeah,
that age when
at
like
the
a lot is
cusp.
going to change, or a
Mm,
lot can change, and it can
yeah.
be really exciting. So,
Yeah. Super like
yeah.
disorienting at the beginning because you're like, what the heck is happening? Like I'm
Yeah.
losing a lot of my reference points of who I am and
Yes.
what I know to be true and whatnot. But I love how then you kind of also shared like the way in which you were able to just receive and trust what you were receiving in terms of the download that you received and kind of just trust
Yeah.
your intuition and go with it. I think that's a really powerful thing, and when we're gonna get into that a little bit today.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what I got out of your program and the work that I individually did with you was learning to quiet the mind a little bit
Yeah.
and get into the
Yeah.
body and listen to it and listen to what it's telling me and
Yeah.
to trust it and to let it guide me. And it's been wonderful learning that.
Good.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think you kind of nailed it. That's really like my main message for people to like really help them because I was so disconnected. I was living in my head for so long. I was like that person that always said, I don't know. I don't know what I want. Like I was the person when you were like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, that like interview
Yeah.
question. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was always like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was such a people pleaser and overthinking things, and I was trying to be go with the flow,
Hmm.
but I really just was abandoning myself in a way. I was abandoning
Mm-hmm.
my own wants and needs by like disconnecting from what I wanted, what I needed. I did what everybody else thought I should be doing.
Hmm.
And I think yoga was, really what helped me to tune inwards, get more connected to my body,
Hmm.
and listen. Like, what is my intuition really telling me and leading me? And if you can follow that, like, you're set.
Yeah, I think that's such a powerful message you just shared of like having the self-awareness to recognize that you're doing what everyone else tells you you should do or what you think other people want you to do, right? Because
Right.
sometimes we grow up and not necessarily we have parents or loved ones that are like, this is what you have to do, whatever, but it's like the role models around you or like the subtle expectations just kind of kick
Yes.
in of like what you should be doing and how you should be doing it and like whether it's your career or your relationships, even just how you show up in your relationships, right? Like I work with a lot of like moms or women that talk about like how they're supposed to be. And I'm like, well, is that working for you? Like,
Right.
just have you taken a minute to double check that rule that you have for a second?
Right.
And when you do, and when you double check, you get to then sounds like you did something similar of like you get to double check like, oh wait, maybe this ideal or expectation isn't actually how I want to live my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, talk to me about like when someone has that realization and you're like, okay, I don't know what I want. I don't know how to build this life that I want, but realize, isn't necessarily what I have right now. Where do you even like start figuring out what you want?
Ugh, gosh. Yeah, that's the hard question, really. Where do you
Yeah.
begin?
Yeah.
Uh, honestly, I think that practicing more like embodiment practices. So tuning out the noise is what allows you to hear the intuition come through. So, you know, moving your body is powerful in whatever way you really enjoy. For me, that was yoga because you're pairing your breath with your movement. And so it forced me to not think. So it was like, I just need to focus on where my breath is and what my next move is for a whole hour. And it got me out of my head and more into my body. So I think when you can practice more of that, like more movement, maybe meditation, um, and just following the things that like you really enjoy. So exploring, getting curious with yourself, trying new things, like getting out of your comfort zone. Those are what are going to help you to get clear on what lights you up. What's the next best step? Like the path will start to reveal itself, but I think the first step is just that clearing out your energy, doing the things you love, and getting curious with yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. And I like how you're talking a lot about like using language of like what lights you up and like what brings you joy. Kind of like Marie Kondo's like what
Yeah.
sparks joy, But it's real
Yeah.
because when you start to follow that, when you're able to listen to yourself, then you're able to recognize when your body is feeling that joy and when it's not feeling that joy. And you get to start
Yeah.
understanding like when am I forcing a situation versus when am I moving closer to what's in alignment with who I am and who
Yes.
I'm meant to be.
Yeah, and it's like a muscle, really, right? The
Hmm.
more you practice it in those subtle little ways throughout your day, the
Hmm.
more you're able to trust it.
Hmm.
So if you're not used to trusting your intuition, it's just, yeah, asking yourself, like, is this actually really, do I really enjoy this? Is this fun for me? Is this how I want it to be? And going from there, because your body, your intuition is going to tell you yes or no. And you have to, the more you trust that, the easier you get the ideas and the downloads.
Okay, so once we've gotten the ideas, we've gotten the downloads, we're listening to ourselves, We're like,
Yeah.
okay, I know exactly what I want, Laura. I have my vision board. I'm ready to manifest it. Now what?
Yay!
Yay, step one, like the
Step
hardest
one.
step has been
Yeah.
done. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
Or maybe just walk
Well,
us through like what is manifestation and how do we implement it? Because there's a lot out there that talks about manifestation, right? And so maybe just like
yes.
clear it up for us for a second.
Yeah, I think I kind of have my own process that I teach, which is I've summed it up into an acronym called ALIGN, ALIGN. So the first step is the awareness piece, right? Like getting clear on what you really want, becoming aware of what's working, what's not working. And then this next step is really, and the steps kind of go fluidly, I'll say,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
you might take one step and then
Go
flip
back.
flop.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all
Yeah.
anyways, but the next step I think is letting go. So letting go of what isn't working. You have to clear out what isn't serving you, what isn't in alignment with the vision that you want. And sometimes that's the hardest part is like releasing what's familiar. So even though it may not be what you want or what is serving you, it because it's become so familiar, it can be hard to let go of things. Sometimes that means we'll stay in a relationship longer than we should because we have a hard time letting go,
Hmm.
or we're afraid of what if no one else is out there for me, right? We have all these limiting beliefs and fears. And so I think that really the next step is to let go, like clear out all the things that aren't working in your life, all the fears, the limiting beliefs, um, and let go, like clear it out so that
There we
there
go.
is space
Yeah.
for better things to come in, better ideas, better opportunities, more
Mm.
aligned people into your life, more aligned places. Like sometimes the clarity on what you want comes after you clear out. Once you've
Mm.
cleared and made space, then you're like, oh, wait, maybe I want this.
Hmm.
So I think that's really
That's
the next step.
powerful. Is it okay
Yeah.
if I interrupt the steps for a second to
Yeah.
dive a little deeper into this one?
Yeah.
When
Mhm.
you said let go, I was like, oh, that's the second step. Like, that's a hard second step to take. I know I've had to take it,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I'll have to continue taking it, but it is a really powerful one. And like you said, I think it's really hard for people because a lot of those
Yeah.
fears come up of like, but what if I do let go of this relationship? Or what if I do let go of this job? Or what if I do let go? For myself, it was like I had learned a business strategy model, and it was like, oh my God, if I don't follow this model, like, how am I going to build my business? Like, then
Yeah.
there's nothing else, and then I'm not going to be able to
Right.
do it. And so it's like facing all those fears about it. But it is
Yes.
really, as someone who's still learning how to do this and integrating it, I have realized that there's something incredibly powerful in letting go. Even like
Yes.
letting go of the expectation of having what you want or like what you think
Hmm.
you need or something. There's been
Yes.
times where I think I really like I want something. I want it so bad, almost to the point that I like need it. And the second I let go and I'm like, you know what, Francesca, like if you don't get that thing, like
Yeah.
what's the worst that can happen? You'll survive, you know? And when I finally come to a full peace and serenity around that,
Yeah.
the next day the freaking thing shows up. And I'm like, what? Like,
Yes. That is
how did
a
that happen?
powerful, yeah. And that I actually put as my last step.
Okay, sorry.
But
So
again, but they can go, that's what I'm saying is
it
like
can mix up, yeah.
manifestation is fluid. Like sometimes the
Yeah.
steps happen simultaneously.
Mm,
Um, but I think having like a framework, that's why I've
yeah.
created like the align is just a framework and don't get caught
Yeah.
up on like, oh, I have to do this step first and then this step.
Right.
It's all happening at the same time. But yeah,
Right.
non-attachment is what that is like releasing
Okay.
your attachment to
Oh,
what you
okay.
think you need or it having to happen in a certain way or by a certain time. Like let go of your attachment to it and you become so much more magnetic to it because it's like a needy vibe when
Mm-hmm.
you're grasping and trying to control the situation. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that you
Okay.
had that awareness that that's a
Sorry, I
powerful
totally,
step.
yes, it really was. I totally fast forwarded us. Sorry, let's go back to the framework so that who's listening
Yeah.
can at least follow with what we're chatting
Okay.
about.
Okay. Well, the next step is identity. So ALI. Identity is your self-concept. It is who you are, it is the beliefs that you have about yourself, about how worthy you are, about what's possible for you, your belief about the world around you. And everything that is really like the key. I think that is like the biggest key to manifestation is becoming the type of person that has what you desire, like embodying the identity of that person, your future self, now. You
Mm,
have to be that person now because everything is manifesting based on who you're being, how you identify. Um, the world is reflecting back to you based on what your inner world is. So if you have subconscious beliefs that it's going to be really hard, that it's going to take a long time, that you have to hustle to get it, that's the reality that you're going to create. Your
mhm,
reality is going to show you
mhm,
all of the ways in which that is true. So
mm,
once you've released, like, and again, this goes simultaneously with that second step of letting go, you might start to realize, okay, well, I've been believing that it's going to be hard, that it's going to take a long time, that I have to hustle to get it. And that isn't working for me. So I need to let go of that and then create a new identity, create new belief systems around who is that version of me that has the success or whatever it is, whatever your
yeah,
desire is.
yeah, yeah.
um, how does it get to be for her? What does she believe about herself, her abilities, her worth? And so
Mm,
that's what the identity level is about. And so when I do this with clients, that's the like reprogramming part. It's installing new empowering beliefs that will help you create the reality that you desire.
mm. I'm
So
listening
like
to
when
you.
we did
Yeah,
that with
yeah,
the money mindset, it was
yeah.
like creating the empowering beliefs around money, changing the way that you were perceiving
Mm-hmm,
money and your relationship with it and
mm-hmm,
who you were being, how you were showing up in relation to it.
mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
changed everything.
yeah. I'm listening to you and I feel like I've thought of all of this manifestation when it comes to business, career, and finances. And now I'm listening to your framework, super helpful to put it in a framework because it really does, at least logically, you're like, okay, I can at least like conceptualize what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it got me reflecting on my relationship with my partner. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I was in a long distance relationship for like 9 years. And then 2 years ago,
Mhm.
I moved to Toronto to live with him. And now we're engaged and it's all wonderful and beautiful and, whatever.
Yeah.
But for those 9 years, it was very challenging, obviously, because long distance is challenging. But it was
Yeah.
even more challenging because my beliefs around it made it so challenging. It was
Mm.
like, um, figuring out what you want. I had no idea what I wanted. I had no idea what kind of relationship I wanted to have, what kind of future I wanted to have. Even the relationship that I thought I wanted to have, I didn't feel like I was deserving or worthy of it. So,
Yeah.
how are you going to attract the relationship if you don't feel like you deserve it? How are you going to show up
Right.
in the relationship if you don't even feel like you deserve it? So I was constantly like self-sabotaging the relationship. It was like a push and pull, like not sure if I'm committed or not, but also need you all the time, like very
Yeah.
clingy, needy, like desperate-ish kind of bringing that energy to the relationship, which like every time I brought that energy, it like repelled my partner. Obviously, like
Mm.
no shame on
Yeah.
me or him. It was like, oh, this is a lot. So it
Yeah.
pushed him away. So then I wasn't even like getting what I wanted. And
Mhm.
I was terrified that the long distance would lead to nothing. I was terrified that the long distance would lead to us living together. And then if we lived together, it wouldn't work because, people love to project their bullshit of like, are you sure it's gonna
Yeah.
work when you're in the
Oh my
same
God.
city, when you're in the
Yeah.
same apartment? And similar to you, I was a big people pleaser. So I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, it's not gonna work. They're right,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but like kind of like working through on myself and being in therapy and working on my self-worth and understanding what I want and asking for what I want, but there was a lot of like just deeper limiting beliefs that I had to clean out, I guess, of like believing that I was worthy of love and believing that I was worthy of a partner that dedicated time and put effort into our relationship, having positive beliefs about our future, believing that if I moved
Yes.
here and things happened, we would figure it out together and we would, or at the end of the day, I would be okay. Whatever ended up happening, I would be okay. And
Yes.
when our relationship stopped being long distance, the last letter, non-attachment. When I finally was like, you know what? This is the relationship I have. I love it. I accept it. Whenever life decides to finally bring us together, we will be together. And until
Hmm.
then, I'll just enjoy what I have. And I'll just learn to enjoy
Yeah.
what I have. But
See,
Laura,
that's a huge shift in
yeah,
you see how energetically
yeah,
like
yeah,
that changed everything, the way you were perceiving your situation.
yeah.
It wasn't necessarily your situation that was the problem,
No,
it was the way you were
no.
perceiving it that was
Yes,
causing it to feel challenging for you.
yes,
And the
yes,
second you
exactly.
let go of that,
We're having a little tech issue. I don't hear you anymore.
oh,
Oh, my internet
can you
wasn't
hear me?
stable. You're good. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Say that again, please.
I said, um, yeah, it was just an energy shift. So the
Yeah,
second that you
yeah,
started out, it doesn't matter how long it takes, like you let go of the attachment and all of
yeah,
the what if like belief systems that were making it feel really challenging and hard,
exactly.
everything changed. Like
Yes.
that's so amazing. And now look at you.
Yeah.
You're
Now we're doing
engaged
great. We're
and
engaged. We're planning our wedding. It's all very exciting. Uh,
yay. Wait,
and I'm,
can I ask a question
of
about the
course,
wedding?
please go ahead.
When are you getting married? Do you
May
know?
2026 in Tuscany.
Okay.
And
Oh my
similarly,
gosh.
I have the vision, and Laura, it's all just happening so organically and
Yeah,
naturally. Like, I'm just
love it.
happy. I'm just like, obviously, there's like, little family dramas that come up because, like, that's typical with a wedding.
Yeah.
But I kind of just like imagined what I wanted. I made a Pinterest board and I was like, okay, Francesca, you have a year and a half to make this happen. Enjoy it, let
Yeah.
it happen. And everything's been, the little coincidences that the universe, like the
Yes.
people are in town. Let's go get a dress. We find the perfect dress. Let's figure out to get married in Tuscany. We're almost finding a venue. We're probably going to secure it. Everything's just like nice and relaxed, like no stress.
See, it's all
Yeah.
flowing
It's all flowing.
because you have this mindset about it that, of course,
Yeah.
it's just going to work out. Everything's
Yeah.
going to flow.
Yeah.
And it is like,
Yeah.
that's so exciting. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. In Tuscany?
Yeah. In
Oh my
Tuscany.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, because my
So
partner and I are
beautiful.
Italian, so we're like, it's a
I was going to
destination
ask you,
wedding, but it's not.
do you
So
have family there
we
or does he
do.
have family?
We do. We
Okay.
do. We both have family there. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. And if I can, just going back to the limiting beliefs for a second, I realized that also I think what people really struggle with, because I know I did, is that when something quote unquote bad is happening in our life. I was raised with the idea that God is a scary white man in the sky that's going to punish me if I'm bad. I'll
Yeah.
just throw that in there for funsies for our conversation.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard for me to believe that there was a greater, beautiful universe that loved me and was like divine energy that was, just love. And
Yeah.
so when I was in that long distance relationship for so long and I was suffering for so long and I was really struggling with it, the way I interpreted it was like, oh, Francesca, like this is happening to you because like you did something wrong. Right. And so then that's how
Mm.
we end up then like feeling like we're being punished or feeling like it's our fault, like that we're not getting what we want. And I just want to like share that for a second because I think there's a lot of people that are in a situation in their life right now that's feels like it's out of their control. It feels like they can do
Mm,
nothing to change it. And it also feels like they're being like punished in some sort of way.
yeah.
And so if we're talking about manifestation and divine love and energy, I feel like we also need to acknowledge that like a lot of people grow up with an idea of divine that is based
Right.
in like fear and punishment and judgment and guilt. And those are
Yeah.
not good feelings to have.
Right.
And they're definitely not going to help you manifest what you want in
No,
life.
no, no. Yeah, I think this is a really good point that you're bringing this up because I think a lot of people can relate to this.
Yeah.
And I can relate to it too with my
Hmm.
upbringing. You know,
Yeah.
I had we grew up going to church. And so for me, I think the best way to look at it is that what we talked about earlier, and that
Hmm.
is your belief around God and religion and spirituality, the way that
Hmm.
you're perceiving it and believing in it is, does that feel good for you? Is that still working for you?
Hmm.
Like, question
Hmm.
whether the way that you're perceiving it is serving you. Does it feel good? Like, is that what you want to believe about it? Or
Yeah.
is there another way that you could perceive it? Because I truly believe, for me, I truly believe that God is love. Like
Hmm.
the universe and everything, everyone in it is a part of that. We are all made up of like a fractals of God, universal energy. Like, so for me, it's like how could viewing God as someone who's going to judge me and punish me, how is that love?
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't make sense when I started to shift my perception of it. I'm like,
Hmm.
but if God is love,
Hmm.
it there's how could that be? So
Right.
I think
Right.
if you could just ask yourself, is there another way I could perceive it
Hmm.
that would still allow me to have my faith in God
Hmm. Hmm.
and feel good and create the life that
Yeah.
I desire?
Yeah. Yeah. And both can be true at the same time.
Both can be true.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
And yeah, I was gonna go on a whole tangent, but I won't. That'll be for an off camera conversation one day.
Okay.
Um, but no, I think it's really helpful to spell these things out for people because I think like if you're if you're like a girly, in your 20s or 30s who's like wanting to manifest, you're obviously consuming content about manifestation and you're getting little clippets and snippets of like, make a vision board, look at it every day, create mantras for yourself. And that's all super valuable. Like, you
Yeah.
personally, I have a vision board. I love it. It's helped me so much. But what I really like what you're sharing and the way we're kind of breaking it down because it's really like, yeah, the vision board is really great, but if at the same time that you have this vision board, you also have a belief that you're not good enough and not worthy enough and not capable enough, it's going to be really challenging to build and manifest that vision board.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you really helped me with is that I was like a workaholic. I was like, if I need more money, I just have to work harder, but there's not enough hours in the day, right? Or
Oh
like,
yeah.
if I want
Yeah.
more love, I need to work harder at it. I need to do more. I need to be more. I need to, whereas like the work that I did with the subconscious reprogramming was like, hey, you're good enough.
Yeah.
Like, let your partner come to you. You don't always have to be doing to get his attention or his affection. Like, you can just
Yeah.
be and you can just attract.
Which is what the ultimate self-love is, right? It's all
Um,
about coming back to love, like embodying the vibration of love within yourself. When you love yourself deeply, like
mhm.
you become magnetic to the universal energy that you
Yeah,
are a part of, that
yeah.
you are manifesting, that is reflecting back to you. So, kind of incorporating and going back to the whole God thing, it's
Mhm.
like I see manifestation intrinsically connected with God and
Yeah.
love. And
Yeah.
when you can become the best version of yourself, which is really vibrating at the frequency of love,
Hmm.
you become the best version of yourself. You attract the life that you want, the relationship that you want. And of course, God wants that for you
Yeah.
because he's
Yeah.
loved it, she, it, I don't know, whatever you want to
Whatever you
say.
wanna, whatever you wanna call it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The universe, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to me, it's all connected, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
100, to me it does. I hope whoever's listening message me if you have any questions, but
Yeah.
to
Did
me
we
it
totally
does.
lose you guys?
To me it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a really, really powerful message for a lot of people, because we are very conditioned to not think that way. And I think you're right. Like things didn't start changing for me. Like, the whole quantum leaping expression, that
Yeah.
didn't start happening for me until I revisited my relationship with the universe, with God, with divine.
Yeah.
It wasn't until that was like totally transformed and it became one of like, oh, you've got my back. Like, you're not here to punish me. You're here to support
Yes.
me. You're here to love me. And you're here to show me how to love myself and how to love other people. Obviously, it's a practice. It doesn't happen
Yeah.
perfectly every single day. Um, but to feel like I had this like emotional, just like safety net was really powerful.
Yeah. And that helps with allowing you like feeling safe to let go of your control, right? That
Yes.
non-attachment piece of like,
Yes.
okay, well, if I feel supported, if I feel like I'm divinely supported, then I don't have to try and control and manipulate and be so anxious about everything happening perfectly. Like I can surrender and
Mm.
relax and
Hmm.
breathe into my feminine energy.
I'm learning about that.
Yeah.
We're still figuring that part out. But
Yeah.
yes, yes, exactly. And then more can come to you because I almost feel like when I close my eyes and I try and think, what does that feel like, right? It's like I feel like when I'm in the grasping, I'm like
Mhm.
in a well and I'm like just holding on for dear life, trying to
Yeah.
like, don't let go or you'll fall, you know?
Right.
But then when I transition into, wait, there's a safety net, I'm like, let go, fall. Like there's a safety net that will catch you. It's okay. And then
Yeah.
when you're in that safety net and space and you get to relax, you get to just like feel this just like immense nurturing. And like you said, become a magnet. And I don't know if I'm using all the right words, but this is what it feels like to kind of help people render the
Yeah.
idea.
I
And
love
it
that.
really is like I feel it in my hands. Like when I'm grasping, I'm like, I feel that I'm grasping. And I'm like, no, Francesca,
Yeah.
breathe and let go.
Yeah. Relax.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I feel like it shows up in uh our physical body, like when
Yeah,
we're tense and we're
yeah,
stressed, like of course your
yeah.
body like, oh, you're like grasping and tight and but like breathe, shake it
I
out.
think shake it out. I think that's probably the note I'll leave us on. Because
Yeah.
there's so much more that I could chat with you about and ask you about, but I don't want to overwhelm everyone with all my questions and everything. But I think we'll leave you on that. Just like, let this be the sign to just like check in with your body and relax and breathe and allow.
Allow the universe to delight you.
Hmm. Mm. Oh, that's so beautiful. Laura, thank you so much. I had all these questions prepared and I was like, no, 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 let's just have a nice chat
Let's
and
just
see where it
flow.
goes. Let's just flow and see where it goes.
I loved it.
Let's
Thank you
role
so
model
much
that.
for having me. This has been such a fun conversation. I could sit here and chat with you forever. And
Yeah.
we'll have to continue because I
Hmm.
want to have you on my podcast
Oh, I'd love
and
that.
it'll
I'd
be
love
so
that.
fun.
I would love that. And I'll let everyone know when that's going to be happening. So let us know, where can people find you? What kind of like services do you offer that maybe someone who's listening would want to sign up for?
Yeah. Well, you can find me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest place to find me. My handle is at mind.body.manifest. So come say hello over there. I also have my website, which is just lauralivermore.com. And I am getting ready to launch a manifestation membership in the new year. So be on the lookout for that. There is a wait list happening. I saw that you're already on
I'm
it, so
on
I'm
it.
excited for you that you're joining the wait list.
Yeah.
And then what else? I do one-on-one private coaching for mindset and manifestation coaching. And I host retreats. I have an upcoming retreat in June that I'm co-hosting with another yoga teacher here in Colorado. I don't have all the details yet, but it's coming. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Laura. This was really, I think for me, just like very affirming as someone who, like I said, is still kind of learning all of this, being able to um, hear your perspective again. And I think with these sorts of concepts, I love just like the repetition of it because they're such deep, I don't want to say complex, but like they are kind of complex. And so
Yeah.
the repetition of just hearing it over and over again just allows it to be like further ingrained.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening. If you like what you heard, feel free to follow, like, subscribe, do all the things, and tune in weekly. So I will see you next week.